everyone. Welcome to another monthly Soul Vibes. And it is, oh gosh, I have to think which month it is. It is October 2023. And for me, it feels like this year's just gone so fast, and yet so many things have happened, and so many new ways of feeling, of experiencing, of perceiving things have been opened to us. And so let us all come into this space, in this space that we co-create together. And feel yourself wherever you are. Feel the rightness of your own being. Just how right you are. And if you have some trouble believing this at this stage, or accepting that all is right with you just the way you are, with everything, there is a purpose. And it is not a purpose that you have to achieve things in the world, but your being here has a purpose. You are your own purpose. And everything about you is right. All your experiences, the way you perceive things, the way you think about things, all are incredibly valuable and right and good. And your own unique perspective, your own unique world of emotions, of feelings, of thoughts, of how you are, of who you be, all of it is right. All of it is already perfect. And so fall into this feeling how everything about you is right. And yes, you haven't really been taught to think or to perceive yourself in this way. In the world, if you look around at the world, it's not going to give you the permission ever to feel about you in this way, to look upon you and think upon you in this way. And yet, the courageous, rebellious beings that we are, we don't need permission from anybody. We just do it. We just feel, we just choose what we want to feel, how we want to perceive ourselves, and imagine and feel how different the world, your world, is as you feel yourself and look at yourself and feel good about yourself, about you being just right just as you are. And so this is a good starting point to feel deeper into yourself, to feel the presence of your soul. And so now I invite you to feel that presence, however that you feel it. And I know some people's minds, they say, but I don't feel it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't recognize what it feels like. It feels like an expansion of you. It feels like everything is right about you. Like you are right. That's what it feels like, the presence of your soul. Now you feel this love, you're starting to feel it, this all-embracing and warm and comforting love. Love that has so many nuances. And that sometimes it feels so far away, especially when you look at the world as it is and all of the different news and what have you. It feels like the world is very loveless at this time, and yet reality for you is very, very different, is it not? But when you connect with your soul consciously and you feel her, you feel the presence, you feel this warm, all-enveloping, all-pervasive feeling that you call love. We don't need to call it anything as long as you feel it, as long as you allow it, and know that you cannot ever feel someone else's love. It is always your love that you feel, so own it, be it. Allow it to seep into all the parts of you. And feel how some parts are so thirsty for this love, how welcoming they are, how longing they were. And some still don't know how to feel this, how to allow. Perhaps some parts of you don't feel worthy yet of this such a love, and yet those are the parts that need it the most. You deserve this love. It is yours. Own it, all of it. And there are different things that you must allow within yourself. Are they not for you to feel this love? For you cannot stay the same as you were. The same as you were in the loveless state, for you must allow to be vulnerable, to open yourself up, to surrender, so to speak, to this presence, to allowing this feeling to be you, to believe it, to own it, to trust that it's always there with you, to trust that it always carries you, it envelops you, it hugs you. It is warm when the nights are cold. It is cool when the days are hot. It gives you shade. It gives you comfort. So many wonderful feelings. And yet, if you go deeper into it, if you allow more and more, this presence, this feeling of love, you realize that the deeper you go, the more constant it is, this love. It is a feeling. It is a flow in a way. And it is a being. It just is. It doesn't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything to feel it. You don't have to deserve it. There's nothing you have to change about yourself to deserve this love. And yet, what you do change is the allowance, the vulnerability, so that it can penetrate, so to speak. It can permeate the essence of who you are as a human being, all the parts of you. And yes, we speak of these kind of words, and sometimes people feel a little bit maybe uncomfortable with these words. But allow yourself to become comfortable, not only with the words, but with feelings. For you are whole, you are all. You're not one half or the other half, you are whole. And in the wholeness, there are all of those experiences that very often in the general population are looked down upon, looked as bad, looked as negative, as sinful. And yet I know that the modern society doesn't say things in such a way. And yet the feeling, the all pervasive shame and guilt and all of that is still there. And it is those things that pervert the pureness of who you are, the pureness of the feelings that do involve, sensuality and sexuality. For where does this boundary end? Like, where does one end and the other begin? All of those kind of separations are artificial. Are they not? So feel them. Allow them to flower and flourish within you and take you on journeys of dancing with your divinity. For all of these allow you to perceive your divinity, to dance with it, to be it, to allow it. And so now here we are in the sensuality of our own being, in the privacy of your own home, where you can feel safe, in the space you feel safe around you, you feel safe on the inside. And there is nowhere that we have to go. We just stay where we are. We can start opening up to other realms. And for some, I know you already feel them. You feel their presence. You can perceive them in your daily life. And for others, perhaps because they are so fine. Perhaps you're just starting to open yourself up to those realms. And it is not that you are a stranger to other realms, you perceive them, and you just don't notice how you're jumping from one into the other. It is a natural way to be. It's a natural thing that you do every day. Some realms are very similar to where you normally hang out, so to speak. And so you don't particularly notice that you've just step jumped or walked into another realm. But these are just, when we say you walk into another realm, these are just words, because you don't actually physically have to go anywhere. And yet there is a correlation with the physical world, because physical world is based on your inner world. And so just as you walk physically, let's say you were to get up and walk into another room, and you would be in another realm. So let's say if we look at your house, perhaps you have a living room, you have a bedroom, a kitchen, bathroom, you have a hallway, you have an entrance. All those are different realms, and they serve different purpose. And if you really notice, yourself as you're walking through different rooms, even physically, you feel a little bit differently. So let's say if you go to your bedroom, you feel differently. And if you go to your study or office, you feel a bit differently. In the hallway, you feel a bit differently. And so now if we look at the realms, non-physical realms, as you walk into, not that you have to actually go anywhere, but with your presence, with your consciousness, with your awareness, as you walk from one realm into another, you can notice that jump. You can notice how you walk into different spaces, so to speak. In the spaces, how do you mostly know that you're in a different space? Because you feel different when you're in them. So that was one of the most obvious sort of sign that you've moved into another realm. Some realms are very fine, and yet they are all very, very defined, but they require your perception to be very acute and very fine. And it requires you to be very still in a way. This stillness, for those of you that have meditated perhaps, and with meditation, you can practice this inner stillness that can always be with you. You can be involved in some busy activity. You can most notice this stillness, let's say, if you're jogging or swimming, or for some it is sitting and meditating. For some it is a walk in nature. For some it is listening to music or playing music. When you perceive that inner stillness, and yet that inner stillness is also its own realm. And it doesn't actually disappear when you are, for example, let's say in an emotional turmoil. Let's say if something happens and you just notice yourself that full emotions are full on intense and flowing through you, and it's all happening, and there's a lot of noise around you and whatever have you, that stillness is still still. That realm of stillness is still there, and you can always feel it regardless of what is happening on the surface. And this is one of the benefits of being aware of all the different realms that you have access to, that you exist in. For you as a souled being, for you as an entity, a being, a creator, you exist in thousands and thousands of realms. You as a soul exist in realities that at the moment as a human being you wouldn't even know how to imagine how different they are, how how they operate in a different way. And so even the ones that are available to you as a human being, and when I say even, I don't mean in a negative way, but I just mean that, you don't get overwhelmed with all of the different realms that are available to you. And yet you can train yourself to be perceptive of them, and to be aware of yourself in all of these different realms at all times, and you don't get confused, and it is not confusing. It is just kind of like when, first when you are born and you start walking and you learn how to walk, and initially you don't know how to do it. And then once you've learned how to walk, you don't even have to think about it. You just know how to do it. That's how it's the same with being aware and with being able to utilize all of the different realms that are available to you at any time. So one that we've already mentioned is very obvious, is that incredible realm where you feel peace, where you feel safe, that regardless of what is going on in your world, you always can also be in that realm. You can perceive it. Rather, that would be a more accurate statement. You can perceive yourself in that realm at the same time. And so the next realm that you can utilize in your everyday world, and it's very, very handy, of course, it is the space where you can become aware of where our non-physical friends come and visit you and speak with you and converse with you. They do all the time, but perhaps you're not aware or conscious when you're chatting with our physical friends. And so for me, Alexis, at the moment, at this time, I've been hanging out with Mary Magdalene and Yeshua, because in a couple of weeks' time, we have a 3-month course. Normally around this time, I travel with them through the Christmas and New Year. In their company, they become very, very present. And so for me, we've created our own little realm where I hang out and I feel their presence. And so I invite you to feel them too, if you wish. Feel their companionship. Feel the essence of Mary. Feel the essence of Yeshua, the incredible mastery of both of them. Feel their teaching abilities and how they're able to portray that incredible mastery to others. Feel their friendship and feel their love for each other as a couple. Feel their honor, feel their respect for each other and the support. And also the humor that they have for each other. Feel their laughter. Feel their joy. And how they embrace you and encourage you. And so you, in this way, in the same way, throughout as you go through your daily life, you also can feel yourself conscious in the realm where you perceive the non-physical friends, and them not being and not existing in time and space. They don't have a night and day. And so if you need someone to chat with, if you need someone to converse with, someone to support you when you perhaps feel a bit confused with what is going on or something's happening in your life, you always can come to this space, to this realm where you have your non-physical friends and you converse with them inside of yourself. Because if you, let's say you're on a train or on a bus somewhere in a public space, a job or whatever, you wouldn't want to speak loudly, and there's no need to, for the conversation happens without words, in silence. For silence is very rich. Feel how rich and how communicative silence actually is, and how much there exists. Become fluent in silence. Become fluent in that inner peace. Know its language, know its feeling. Know where it exists, which realm, where that realm is within you. And these things, they do require some practice. And so as you go through your life, notice when you remember, feel how many different realms you can actually feel at any time. Which ones are more helpful to you at that time? Which ones resonate? Which ones perhaps don't resonate at that time? Or even if you have all of these realms, not all are resonating and appropriate for each moment of your time, depending on what is going on in your life at that time. And so also let's now go into another realm. Let's go into the realm of passion, where creativity lives. For this, we have to go really outside of time and space. For that creativity, that so-called chaos exists outside of time and space. It only appears to be chaotic when you try to pull all of it into time and space. But let's go outside of it at the moment. Outside of time and space, that is. Feel this creativity and the excitement of it, how exciting it is in this space. How vast, how colorful. Even though you don't have eyes to see it, but you have feelings. You can perceive color with your inner senses, much more color. Feel all this creative, primordial, raw existence of feelings within this space. How things are being born here, how things are churning up, how things are being also tested, all the different patterns and forms that things can take. It is limitless within this space, outside of time, outside of space, as we know it as human beings. And then there's something incredible happens, because you can then feel how you know how to operate within this realm of creativity. All of a sudden you just realize that you know how to operate here. And it is not that you have to know everything. It is not that you have to know how it works. It just, you can feel. And you realize that as you feel, you allow certain energies to flow through you. And these are the ones at this particular time, at any particular time, that you flow into your physical reality. And all of a sudden you realize that there are templates, that are blueprints of this new creation that you want to create, that you can bring, flow from that chaotic space, not of pure creativity. And it is just waiting now to be born into your physical world. And it is asking you, and it is inviting you, sometimes tenderly, sometimes with whispers, sometimes with incredible passion, to create, to make it physical. And then you realize that that flow, you can always keep open the door to that flow into creativity. It doesn't have to always be fully open, the door, for sometimes it is not appropriate. You need those spaces. For example, let's say if you're going to create a new project in your life, you need space and time within this realm of the earthly realm to start actually physically doing things with it, to making it real, to making it physical. So then let those creative juices flow full on. And then perhaps you have to go and do something else, and you can close that door a little bit, but not fully. Always leave it open a bit, for you can feel it. It makes you excited. It makes you alive. And it makes you feel like you can deal with anything, all of the harshness of the world and all of the things that other people do, the harsh things they say, all of the different energetic transactions that you can have with people that are not always very pleasant. They are harsh energies of mass consciousness. And yet, because you have this creative flow always happening a little bit, even though you've pushed the door a bit, closed the door a little bit, but not all the way. And this is what it makes you be able to deal with all of the things that happen to you in a completely different way, because you always feel that life of creativity, for it is that incredible creativity that gave birth to you as a human, as a facet of your soul. And so that creativity can always be present in your life. And you realize that you can regulate it, and you don't have to be overwhelmed by what looks like and feels like chaos. Because as you choose potentials, you notice that even within that chaos, the creativity, that those energies pattern themselves and get ready for you to work with them within the physical life, within your physical everyday life. And so another part of that creative flow is that we invite you to be that more and more, because the world needs this. The world needs this kind of incredible freedom. The world where, people are put in boxes, in trying to be the same, making everyone be the same, so everyone can fit certain labels, and so that everyone can fit into the systems that judge you in a way that that you can get scores and marks, and you can be evaluated by answering certain generic questions, and you get put into, oh, you're like this, or you're like that, and your personality is like this, or you're a grade A student, or you're this type of worker or successful person, or whatever. All of those labels, all of that is very artificial. And yes, you totally can fit yourself within that. And yet now is the time really to let those go, let those definitions go, and find a way to walk your own creative steps, your own creative path. And you can do that within those structures that already exist. You don't need to become some kind of a rebel that other people will see that you're rebelling and all of that kind of stuff, because you have access and you perceive and you are conscious of all these different realms. You can play within those structures easily, because you realize that it's only a small part of you that can play with that needs to fit in those structures. And the whole of you is free. It's free as a bird in the sky at all times, because you're not stuck within a structure. And so you basically walk through walls, really. That's what that means. You have ability to walk through walls, because your consciousness is able to go from all of the different realms, and you are able then to perceive those realms at the same time and not be confused. And so you never feel stuck. You never feel caught. You never feel bored, because you can be, let's say you're riding on an underground train, sitting there, quiet, peaceful, with all the noise of everything that is going around you. And yet you are in your creative space. You're playing with colors. You're playing with the sounds. You're chatting with your non-physical friends. You are feeling the presence of your soul, and she whispers and sings to you, and you're dancing. Well, you're not having to move your body an inch, or you can when it's appropriate. And the reason we are saying this is because, to live well, to not have to be, let's say, a hermit or to hide yourself from the world. You can. It's absolutely up to you. But to be involved, if that is your joy, this is a great way. Some of you are very, very young, and there's so many things that you want to do, that you want to participate in. And you absolutely can, because you have found ways to be all at the same time, to be free, to feel free, and to also be part of this physical world. For, like we started at the beginning of this episode, everything is absolutely right about you, the way you are, where you are, who you are, the age you are, the gender you are, what you're doing, how you're participating in the world and in your life. All is absolutely right. It's not a mistake that you're human. It's not a mistake that things are the way they are. It is all your playground. And in the past, and for some still, or depending on where they are, where each person is on their journey, there is absolutely right, when you go through deep integrations, to be just on your own, to be a little bit of a, separate yourself. Although for you younger people, you don't need as much time as let's say Alexa's generation, because you were born in a very, very different energy, and you don't have as much clearing to do. But there comes a time and a space where the world is hungry for your creations, whatever that is, however this manifests itself in. And this, we don't mean, the arts, the traditional arts or the visual arts or whatever it is, but it's just your joyful presence, your enjoyment in life is wanted, is needed, is welcomed. Finally, the world is welcoming you. For for those, especially of different generations, it has in the past felt as if the world doesn't want or welcomes you, hasn't it? It certainly has felt like that for Alexis, definitely many, many times. You know, especially first few decades, couple of decades, because you felt so different. You felt so out of place. You felt, you know, many of you felt like there was something wrong with you. And now all of those things that about you that you thought were wrong, you realize, wow, the world is hungry for these abilities, these qualities that I have and that I can offer and that I can do and that I can be and that I can try and explore. And so we invite you to live your life fully. Live it. However, whatever that you want to do, you know, you have abilities and skills to do just that. Live and play and enjoy and make mistakes and create and try all these different things and let them go when they become no longer your thing. You know, there's all of the things that are perfect for you, and you are perfect to do them. And this is the time for you to be, to create, to enjoy, to show a different way of living, a different value system, different abilities, and being able to perceive all these different realms means that you can do this and enjoy at the same time. For you are no longer caught in just the same old reality, but you have presence of your soul. You can consciously feel that part. You have the joy. You can consciously feel where that is. You have nurture. You are being nurtured by your own self. You can go there, go into that realm and feel that. And just these qualities make such a big difference to your life. And then, of course, all of the friends that you have. And then, of course, all of the other abilities like, you know, almost transporting yourself to another location with your consciousness. Let's say you are somewhere in nature and you want to be in New York. Feel yourself there, find it within you, because all of this world is within you. Just because you, let's say within the physical world, you go and step on a plane and you fly there and all of a sudden you're there. You have just done a lot of physical things, but within you, this space that is New York, let's say, if you want, let's say London, for example, or Munich, or any other town, Johannesburg, Cape Town, Sydney. You know, like you when you physically, because what happens on the inside when you actually physically travel to these spaces, you also have traveled on the inside and you perceive those spaces on the inside as well. And so when you realize that you can travel to those spaces just by walking in to the different dimension where they are, you are exactly in the same space on the inside as if you physically traveled to that place. Initially, because it is so much finer on the inside, it doesn't feel that way. It feels like this is just my imagination and all of that kind of stuff. Also, spaces on the inside are much, much more fluid and much, much more flexible than the physical stuff. It's the nature of reality. And so within, when you travel on the inside, you feel that you can walk through walls and do such things. And so that too makes it appear to you, you have been focused on a physical outside world for so long, that those spaces on the inside are not real. And yet, when you become conscious of that, you then realize that those spaces on the inside are actually the only reality that there is. And they are much more real and much more closer to who you really are. Those abilities, those feelings, the senses that you use, the feelings that you use to perceive them, are much more of who you really are than the physical world and who you are within the physical world. But when you transition, which you call death, this is who you then be. And it's not that you then become that, what you can already perceive on the inside. It is just that then remains. And you are no longer focused on the physical, then that becomes much more into your focus. It's not that it changes. Nothing of you in that way changes. And so all of the things that are available to you after you die or before you are born are already available to you now. It is just that belief that says, then the only reality that is real is what you can touch with your hands, with your body, and that the inner reality is not real because it is so changeable, it is so fine, it is so movable. You perceive it as imaginary. But before you're born, after you die, that's who you actually realize, who you really are. And so when you do play with realms, with your ability to perceive yourself in them, it's not like, that walk in and out. It's not the way it really is. It's not accurate. It's just words that we use to describe. You already are in part of you. Parts of you already exist in all of those realms. And so it's kind of like, let's say, you're in your body at the moment and you just change the focus. So let's say you're in your body at the moment. You may be focusing on your eyes. So you feel your eyes. You notice what you can see, the colors, the shapes. And then you change your focus and you go to your toe. And you notice what your toe is perceiving. Let's say the left toe. It's not that your toe didn't exist before you focused on it. It was there. It is just that you didn't focus on it. So it's the same with the realms. You already are there. A part of you that exists in a particular realm already is there. You're just changing your focus. And you're allowing to be conscious. And so when we say you walk in and out of a different realm, what is really meant by that is that you focus in and out of a certain realm. And you're used to a very sharp, particular focus, which is what is needed to be perceptive of a physical reality. And so now it's like, imagine that you're looking through one of those older binocular that is one long tube. So let's say you're looking through that lens of that one single binocular. And that's your focus on the physical world. And so what you're doing now, initially it feels like you're just moving the lens as if, let's say, you're looking at a tree at one time, then you're looking at a house within that You know, if you move your lens, that's what it feels like initially as you're focusing from one realm into another. And then slowly as you practice, all of a sudden that lens opens up and you realize that you don't have to be so narrowly focused on just one. And a number of you already are very good at that. You actually just open that focus and you realize, wow, I can actually be, and I'm actually in 3 different realms. I feel the peace. I feel the physical reality. I feel the presence of my non-physical friends. That's 3 already. And there's no end to how many you can perceive at the same time. And it's not also, there's another thing, you don't have to really delineate them, like put defined borders between these realms. That's not the purpose that you say, well, I was in this realm, unless you want to play with that. But the main thing is that you just realize that all of these are available to you at the same time. And then you can comfortably be within the perceived limitation of the physical world. And you can participate in life much more because you don't feel caught. So for many of you, including Alexis, there are lots and lots of parts of life that she's let go during that time of integration, meaning that she hasn't participated in because it felt so limiting. It felt so different, that feeling, that soul connection. And then when you realize that this soul connection, the connection with your soul, the presence, can be felt anywhere. There is not here or there, just, in this, I have to go to this beautiful space, sit under a beautiful tree, and there's just peace and beautiful scents and springtime and whatever have you, beautiful around you. Yes, that's the way to do it, but you can bring that, or rather you can allow yourself to perceive that. Even if you physically, especially when you're not physically present, and you may physically be in a very different environment and still feel that sitting in this some beautiful view under a beautiful tree with a peaceful serenity around you, with a beautiful, peaceful sense, a different realm, but very, very present, very available to you. Initially, when you do practice and you play with this, there is some kind of resistance to accepting those as real, because they do initially feel imaginary. But just be there with that resistance and play with it and just keep going. And then you realize, yes, it is as real. And there is, before, when things were much more linear, this would be called daydreaming. But what it meant is that, for some of you, you're very well familiar with the daydreaming because perhaps, in the boredom of school days or whatever, you would just not be present in your reality, and you would just escape. It was perceived as being an escapism, a big no to do. But now, because now it's not anymore linear, it's not anymore that you only have to focus on one thing, so you can be incredibly present here in the physical reality, and also with that other realm, and also with your, let's say, non-physical friends realm, and still be very, very present. And let's say if you're talking to someone in the shop, you can do all. It's not like you're escaping somewhere else. You are in the and this and that, and that, and that, and that. See, so always come back to to the reality of where you are, to the reality of your body. It is not escapism, either this or that. It's not that. It is, and yes, I am present. I'm absolutely present in my reality right here. Let's say me as Alexis, I'm looking at a camera, I'm in front of my computer, and yet I'm aware of the presence of Yeshua, of Mary. I'm aware of the presence of my soul, Michael. I'm aware of beauty. I'm aware of love. I'm aware of all of the different spaces and places, let's say in nature, that I've been, of different walks, and yet I'm very present here in my body. And I can feel those spaces and places by walk flow through me. The feelings, the sounds, the smells, the scents. I'm aware of all the roads I've driven. I'm driving one right now as I am with you right now, present also. I'm aware of my feminine and masculine dancing. I'm aware of music. I'm aware of the beauty of the rising sun. Sitting on the beach, right now, here, present with you. There's so many things to be aware of. Just sitting here, looking at a camera, not having to physically go and walk anywhere. There are so many different realms that are available to be experienced at any moment, because you as a consciousness, whatever name that you carry, you are that intersection where they all meet. You don't have to go anywhere. They are right here. And I say here, and I mean not here where I am, Alexis, but here where you are, and you put the name. All present, all available for you to experience, to feel, to play with, to encounter. And last but not least, your wisdom, the realm where you store your wisdom. You can make it you can perceive it as a big library. It has books and books as high as you want. The bookshelves go up into infinity. In each book, it's a little chapter, and with wisdom, distilled wisdom of you, of your life, of all of your other lives that your soul has. And they're all accessible to you. And even though they go up and down into infinity, you find that in this realm, you're weightless, and you can fly, and you can move yourself up and down to the side or all around the bookshelves, and you can pick any book, any wisdom, and you can drink it in, and you can utilize it in your life, in this life. And you didn't have to go anywhere. You didn't have to daydream. You didn't have to escape your life. You were here, you were present, and yet you also are in the library, in your wisdom library, all open, all available to you, for your consciousness to be aware. And so it is, dear friends, and so it is. Until next time, thank you.